Today, we're diving into all the exciting changes coming with version 5, and I'll also touch a bit on the upcoming artifacts we can expect in version 6.3. There's a lot to unpack, from character reworks to some really interesting new additions. So if you're a fan of character builds, team synergies, or just love keeping up with the game, stick around and let's talk about what's coming. Sirene's banner and reruns are finally coming, and you can save up to 25% on these banners at lootbar.gg. Right now, Lootbar has a 3.7 limited offer, a 6,480 shards pack for only $70, while it costs $100 in-game. That means you're saving $30 on Loot Bar. I just enter my UID and select a server. I received the shards right away on my account. Besides Honkai, you can also top up in Genshin. Loot Bar has over 100,000 satisfied users and also supports PS5 and Xbox top-ups. I regularly use Loot Bar for my giveaways, so I can personally recommend it. Use my link in the description for an additional 10% discount. By the way, old users can also get up to 5% off. Alright, let's start with the big character changes in version 5. First up, we've got Klee, and her C2 change is looking like a big deal. Previously, her DEF shred was triggered by dealing damage, but now it's more about just hitting the enemy. This means it works on more enemies, and it's a lot more reliable when you're up against those pesky shielded units. No more waiting for that specific damage condition to apply. It's now just about making contact. This is especially good for Klee since it's an easier way to trigger the DEF shred, which makes her more flexible in team comps. Speaking of changes, we have Jahoda, whose C6 got an upgrade. If you're familiar with her purloined treasure flask, you know it's all about charging up that flask for some bonuses. But now, with the fully charged flask, nearby Moonsign characters are going to get a solid boost to their crit rate and crit DMG for 20 seconds. This makes Jahoda a much better support for those Moonsign characters, and it's a nice synergy if you're already running those kinds of characters in your team. It's a little thing, but it's going to make her role as a buffer feel much more rewarding. Next up, Venti. The changes here might not seem huge at first glance, but once you see them in action, you'll notice the synergy potential. Venti's new Hexarai affiliation really brings him into the fold of team synergies we're seeing more of in this version. When there are at least 2 Hexarai characters in your party, Venti's Wind's Grand Ode, his elemental burst, gets an extra buff window after any nearby character triggers Swirl. This means for 4 seconds after a Swirl trigger, your Hexarai characters get a 50% DMG bonus, and Venti's Storm Eye deals 135% of its original DMG. It's a great hybrid support DPS role for Venti, and he's going to shine in teams that really focus on Swirl as a key reaction. It's not a massive change, but it's a nice little buff that improves his utility and gives him some much-needed synergy with certain characters. Albedo also got some love with his P4 change, where his Hexarai affinity brings a lot of interesting things to the table. Now, when he hits an enemy with his elemental skill, he generates silver isotomas that apply effects like DMG buffs for Hexarai characters. Plus, his solar isotomas now buff everyone based on his DEF, which is pretty sweet for both his personal output and for team-wide buffs. If you've been using Albedo, this just adds more layers to his already solid shielding and damage support toolkit. Now you have more reasons to build him around his DEF stat for that sweet DMG boost. Now Durin, Durin. His VE5 changes are kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, we're seeing big shifts in how his elemental skill works. He goes through an essential transmutation process that changes his elemental skill to Confirmation of Purity and Denial of Darkness, which alters how his attacks work and opens up elemental energy restoration in combat. The fact that Durin restores elemental energy upon entering either of these states every 6 seconds adds a lot of value in terms of energy management for your team. He's a nice addition to any team that requires a pyro applier, but without that flying ability, yes, we are still stuck with him gliding. It feels like a missed opportunity for him to really stand out outside of combat. But hey, he's still a solid choice for support and pyro application, especially if you're pairing him with characters like Mona or Klee. Speaking of Mona, she's got a couple of changes as well. Her P4 change now means that her vaporize potential has been slightly nerfed with the change to stacked damage. The Vaporize bonus is now 5% per stack instead of 10%. It's not a massive change, but it does slightly reduce her damage potential with Vaporize. On the flip side, her C2 and C6 changes help her contribute better to charged attack setups. C2 now removes the old cooldown limits, allowing her to trigger charged attacks faster, which makes her a more dynamic character in the right team comps. And with C6, she'll be able to hit some crazy charged attack DMG on enemies affected by Omen, up to 180% bonus damage. Not bad for those of you looking to optimize her for high burst potential. She may have gotten a little nerf with the Vaporized DMG, but overall these tweaks should give her a place in endgame content. Overall, V5 feels like a lot of fine-tuning. While there aren't any game-breaking changes, a lot of characters are getting small but meaningful buffs. These changes mostly polish up existing mechanics, making certain abilities more consistent or effective. For example, Klee's C2 now reliably applies DEF Shred on hit, making her much more flexible against a wider range of enemies, especially shielded ones. Similarly, Venti and Albedo are seeing synergy boosts with the Hexerai mechanic, giving them better support roles in team comps that focus on elemental reactions. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about something really exciting coming in version 6.3, new artifacts. Specifically, there are 2 new sets planned for COLOMBINA, one of the upcoming Hexerai characters. The first set is designed specifically for COLOMBINA, and the second set is focused on characters with the Hexerai mechanic, which is tied to Hexerai characters. These new sets look like they'll help further enhance the synergy between Hexerai characters. If you're planning to build around COLOMBINA or other Hexerai characters like Venti or Mona, these artifact sets are going to be essential. The synergy between characters like Mona and Durin, for example, will become even more potent with these new pieces, as they look to boost elemental DMG and off-field support abilities. It's exciting to see how these sets are shaping up to support a Hexerai-focused team, and I'm sure we'll see even more characters and interactions tied to this theme in the future. These artifacts will likely encourage more diverse team compositions, especially if you've been focusing on synergy between off-field supports and DPS characters like Mona or Venti. So that's all the big news for V5 changes, and a little preview of what's coming in 6.3 with those new artifacts. It's great to see how team synergy is continuing to evolve, and I'm excited to see how these changes play out in the game. If you're looking to mix and match your favorite Hexerai characters, or just want to see how Durin fits into your team, these changes should give you a lot of new options. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited about, or if you think any of these changes are going to shake up the meta. If you want more updates and analysis like this, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Happy gaming! Save up to 25% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.